this so early in the morning.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, kids ruin everything, right?
Well, they can, but they're okay, I guess.
They can, and at will, and they use that power.
Yes, they do.
Cool. Well, Susan, I have just so many questions for you. The questions have been pouring in from our listening public.
Oh, yes, all two of them.
Yeah, myself being both of them. First of all, and this is probably the most important. Now, here's an awkward thing. Tell me what you think of this. My sweet wife, she was helping me come up with interview questions for these interviews. The idea being that it will be fun to kind of learn how each other kind of came to piping and drumming,
Hmm.
but maybe like the main focus is other stuff, like just get to know each other, in other ways. So just general kind of what are you into, but also like what are your opinions on things, Definitely going to get political and religious. That's a good idea, right?
Yes, that's going to be a great idea.
Yeah. No, but other than that, so just a silly little question that she threw in. She was like, "Oh, and ask them how they feel about pineapple on pizza." I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And so far there have been some funny responses and stuff, so it was a really good idea. But then Swan calls me cuz he was helping me out with this whole process. And he's like, "Dude, you've been listening to Big Rab lately?" I was like, "Nah, it's been a few months since I listened to Big Rab, honestly. He's on my feed, but I haven't listened to the Big Rab show in a couple months." And I know that he asked people about cheese, but apparently he started asking people about pineapple on pizza. So now I'm just a big copycat now.
You're a copycat.
Yeah, so I don't even know what to ask anymore. Like, how do you feel about pepperoni on pizza? Like, what's this?
Well, I will tell you, I feel good about pepperoni on pizza,
All right.
and I think pineapple belongs in the garbage in general, so
Oh, wow. Wow. All
I
right.
don't really like it.
Now, I'm not going to try to convert you to pineapple here or anything. I'm just curious. Have you attempted like, I don't know, like dried pineapple coated in, like crystallized pineapple or like grilled pineapple at a place like what's that Brazilian barbecue place?
Tucanos.
Yeah, Tucanos. Like, have you tried it in all its iterations, or is it more like you had an experience with it and you're like, nope, I don't need this in my life at all?
I don't really like the texture.
Mm.
I have used pineapple juice in recipes and stuff, but I mean, it's mixed in with other stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not an overall flavor, but I
Well, and you
don't.
also don't have to deal with that fibrousness of the texture when you're dealing
Hmm.
with the juice, huh?
Yeah.
Now that brings me to one of the most important points is your incredible abilities in the kitchen. This baking thing that you do.
Yes.
Well, where did that start? What's up with your amazing ability to bake things that are so delicious that I don't even want to eat anything else for the rest of my life?
Um, when I was younger, my we would always just make cookies on Sundays because we my mom would pack them in my dad's lunch throughout the week for when he went to work. And when I was old enough to help, it kind of became, I wouldn't say solely my job because my mom did it too, but I just started baking cookies a lot. I mean, I still have that cookie recipe memorized. And it just became something that I enjoyed doing. It became relaxing, and I I mean, I could be having the most stressful, I mean, this week has been super stressful with school, and last night I baked cookies, and even though that added to my schedule, it was really relaxing for me. And a lot of people ask, they're like, "Oh my gosh, do you make up your own recipes? Like, how do you always have these recipes that are so good?" I don't know. I just find recipes that look good.
So with that cookie recipe though, you've got it memorized from childhood.
Hmm.
Have you sort of freeformed on it at all? Like do you? I mean, are you to the point with that recipe that you can be like, well, this week I feel like a bit more of a cakey cookie, so I'm just gonna do a little more of this, or this week I want something that's a little more chewy, so I'm gonna adjust it this way.
Not really. I mean, it's a childhood recipe. I grew up with it. I like it how it is. I have started following like food bloggers and things like that. And one of them suggested that you put the cookie dough in the fridge for so long before you bake them. And so I tried that. I mean, just little things like that. But as far as ingredients go, I just leave it how it is. I do have like 4 different chocolate chip cookie recipes. So I've got a recipe that I like with milk chocolate chips. I've got a recipe that I like with semi-sweet chocolate chips. It's just,
Hmm.
I
Now,
don't know.
of course, I'm very cultured, so I should probably make it clear for our international listeners that when we say cookie, if they're in the Great Britain, they'd say biscuit.
Yes.
I've been watching the Great British Baking Show religiously, and so I
I
know
love that
this.
show.
Oh my goodness, I love it too. I just now that it's coming out weekly on Netflix, I've centered my life around Fridays. My wife and I found that there is just like no greater comfort in this world than sitting down to watch an episode of Great British Baking Show with baked goods in hand to enjoy
Yes.
while you are watching.
Makes
Oh,
sense.
I just love that experience.
Otherwise, you just sit there and watch it and wish that you had something to
I
eat.
know that's
So,
yeah, I've had that experience, and it's a uniquely sad experience because it's like you're watching something so beautiful, but you feel so empty inside.
yes, it's awful.
Susan, let's start a new podcast and just talk about the Great British Baking Show.
Yes, let's do
This
it.
is episode 1. Welcome. So when it comes to baking, what about cooking? Because these are two different things. Do you feel like you like cooking, or are you a baker more specifically?
I like cooking. I feel more comfortable with baking.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just my sweet tooth. I
Mm.
don't know. But I mean, I'm trying new recipes all the time. All the time.
Well, I'm no baker to the degree of yourself, but I do enjoy it when within my element, and I've found that I really like baking, but I can't get my head around cooking. It's like there's a different I don't know, there's something different about it, but maybe it's
Just a
just my
different mindset.
or my general ignorance, one or the other.
That could be it too.
So aside from baking, what other stuff takes up your time? What other things do you give your energy to?
Work. I teach 4th grade, and
And you
that's.
hate it, right? It's the
Oh no, I
worst.
love it.
I'm just kidding.
I
Of
love it.
course you love it.
It's fun. The kids that age group is a lot of fun to be with. I dabbled in 3rd grade, and they were fun too. I really did enjoy them. But when my principal asked me to move back to 4th grade, I took it back and without even thinking.
Mm.
I love that age group, and we do a lot of fun things. They're young enough to still enjoy being in school and young enough to still do fun young kid activities, but they're also old enough to get my sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I can crack a joke and they don't go home crying, Mrs. Darrow said this and I'm going to cry now. So teaching takes up a lot of my time and my family, taking care of our family and all of our pets.
Oh
And
yeah, you have so many
hang,
pets. Talk to me
we
about
do.
what's the menagerie like these days?
These days we still have our 2 Scotties. We are up to 3 cats. 2 of them are sphinxes.
That's
And
the
then,
hairless ones, right?
yeah, the hairless
I know you
cats.
love them, Susan, but they terrify me.
They're kind of creepy looking.
And I like
The
cats,
female,
but yeah,
the
the hairless
female
ones
is
scare me.
cute. Like she's got a cute face. I will admit the male is really ugly, and I tell him daily that he's ugly.
It's got that
I'm a
face that
kind pet owner.
not even a mother could love that face.
Nope. Anyway, but really with everything we've got going on, we really don't have a ton compared to what we've had in the past.
You
I
got some
have an
tiny
Australian.
dinosaurs, right?
I do have an Australian monitor that looks like a dinosaur,
Mm-hmm.
but he lives in my classroom. And I have a ball python who also lives in my classroom. And then we've got a lizard and a handful of tortoises that bounce between my house and Diana's house.
Yes, I've met some of the tortoises.
Yeah, so those are fun. But that's really kind of the extent of what we've got right now. We've got a couple guinea pigs, but we're trying to get rid of them because my daughter doesn't want them anymore. Do you want some guinea pigs?
Nope.
Are you sure? They're
Well,
super cute.
I know some Peruvian guys who've told me before that they're delicious.
Yeah, but see, they've been a pet for like a month or two now, and the thought of them being eaten makes me sad.
Yeah, well, maybe I just don't tell you about it. And when I was a kid, my dad still has several ball pythons, but ball pythons were like a thing for us. I had one named Lucille, and then and unfortunately Lucille died. Was
Oh.
injured by a mouse when she was trying to eat it, and
Mm.
then I had one that was named Monty, and since I then ran out of clever names for ball pythons, I've not had one since. What's your python named?
Our python's name is Luna. like
Mm.
from Harry Potter.
Of course, I assumed.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Maybe that's worth noting as well. There might not be a bigger Harry Potter fan in existence than yourself.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's a lot of big fans, but it is the theme of my classroom, and so I kind of get to indulge in my childish my childish excitement for Harry Potter. And like, I named my monitor Albus,
Mm-hmm.
and we've got all kinds of fun stuff in my classroom for Harry Potter.
Mm. You know, I a few years ago I started listening to a podcast called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't.
It's where these two divinity school graduates read Harry Potter as though it were scripture.
Oh gosh.
It's actually like really great. It's really they got a lot of beautiful insights and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Interesting. I'll have
Yeah.
to try it.
So, of your pets, if you like looking at the pets that you have now and have had, so you kind of get to know these animals' personalities and mannerisms and stuff like that. So, considering their mannerisms, their diet, the way that they live, if you had to pick an animal to be, which would you be?
A cat, because they get to sleep a lot.
Oh, yeah. And that
No,
sounds really good at 6 a.m., doesn't it?
it does. It really sounds like a great idea.
So, when it comes to bagpipes, what brought you into this insane niche world?
Um, I don't know. That was a long time ago. I remember seeing the Payson High School pipe band in parades when I was growing up and thinking it was kind of cool. And I've been into music since I was little. Um, my mom sings and she plays the piano, and so I kind of grew up with music being an important part in our daily lives. And when we moved up to Utah, we lived in Santaquin, and we would go to the Santaquin parade every year. We never went up to Payson to the Payson parade, but we would go to the Santaquin parade every year, and the high school pipe band always marched in the parade. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. And it popped up as an option when I was registering for 8th grade, a bagpipe class that Don Smith taught. And I thought, well, why not? I'll give it a go. And I've been doing it ever since.
Initially, what did your family think of your decision to do this, to do bagpipes? You know, when you came home with that class schedule and you were like, "I'm doing bagpipes," what was the reaction?
My mom thought it was a pretty cool idea. I mean, she was sitting right there helping me figure out my schedule. I'm pretty sure they all thought that the chanter was pretty obnoxious. But I mean, it must have had some effect because all three of my brothers dabbled in the pipe band world to an extent. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Alex is obviously still playing. Andrew drummed for a few years, and Brian even tried drumming for a couple summers, I think.
Yeah, I played with Brian. No, I agree with you that the practice chanter is obnoxious. Maybe this is gonna offend somebody, right? But here's the hot take from me, and this is a hot take over the course of the last almost 2 decades. People talk about chanters as if like this one has such a warm tone. This one sounds so sweet, when you're like on forums and stuff like which chanter should I get, which reed is good and stuff like that. It's all crap, is what I say.
Yes.
It all sounds terrible.
Yes, it does.
But I guess if you're trying to decide like which I guess what I feel like is like the decider maybe ought to be this one is less terrible than some, and that should be like rather than saying this one sounds so sweet, right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Much more realistic.
Yeah. So nowadays, you've got your husband and your sweet children. How do they feel about your bagpipe playing? Do your kids get excited when the pipes come out, or is it terrifying?
Um, Joe really likes it. He's been supportive since day one
Mm-hmm.
of my piping, and he thinks it's really cool. When I was pregnant with I had her in September, and I played all the way up until the competition, the Payson competition in July. And so
Man,
she
that's
never
right.
really had,
That's into your third trimester. You're still playing bagpipes.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't do any parades or anything like that, but the doctor told me that I was allowed to keep competing. And so I competed up until July. And then I was done for the season.
That means for
And
her, like, the sound of bagpipes is just like got to be the most comforting thing in the world, right? It takes her right back to the womb.
she really did quite well with it when she was little.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden decided that she just didn't really care for it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't think she really cares either way. Like when I play, she doesn't run away in fear, but she doesn't come over, oh, I want to hear you play or anything like that. We've got her an Irish dance right now. And so she's still in that, I guess, community or that, I don't even know what the word is, but she listens to Scottish and Irish music all the time because of her dance.
Is that, do you guys do the Kelly School of Irish Dance?
Shelley, yeah.
Yeah, Shelley,
Yeah,
that's what I meant, Shelley. That's right.
Yeah, and then I didn't play my pipes when I was pregnant with him. He was considered a high-risk pregnancy because of the loss of our previous baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I did hardly anything. I basically sat on the couch and watched a lot of TV when I was pregnant with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really hasn't experienced it all that much. And he doesn't like loud noises in general. So I usually don't play around him.
Yeah. Have you got some shuttle pipes or something?
I do have shuttle pipes,
You
yeah.
ease him into it.
Yeah, that's what I'll have to try that and see what he thinks.
So at present, with the current makeup of your family, your childhood family, your friends, your neighbors, etc., who do you think is your biggest fan?
Joe.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a biggest fan, it might as well be your life partner.
Yeah, yeah. He enjoys listening. He encourages me to play. He likes to listen to it. So I'd say he's the most supportive.
Are there any interesting or unique places that you've played, or people for whom you've played, or occasions for which you've played that stand out in memory?
Oh man. Unique places, not really. Unique people. I've played at the graduation for the College of Eastern Utah, which is now the is it USU? Utah State? Yeah. Utah State Price Branch or whatever. I don't even remember what it's called. So I've played for a lot of professors and students before.
And
I have a really bad memory.
That's a solo graduation gig, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
I've only done one solo graduation gig, and I felt like the pressure was high. You know.
This one's actually not too bad. It's a lot of fun. I go out there on a Friday night and stay out there in a hotel and go out to dinner and just kind of hang out. And then for the actual graduation itself, the professors line the sidewalk and I lead the procession of students through the professors. No. It's the other way around. I lead the professors through the line of students while the students are all clapping, so I can pretend like they're clapping for me when they're really clapping for the professors.
That keeps you going, huh?
Exactly. And then when you get to the entrance of the auditorium where they have their graduation, the professors stop and they line the sidewalk, and the students go through the line of professors who are clapping for them.
Oh, that's pleasant.
And so, I mean, it's such a small school. I probably only play for maybe 20 minutes. But it's fun to see how excited they are and how supportive they are of each other. And maybe it's because of me being in education. I don't know, but I just think it's cool to see the respect that not kids, because there's a lot of older people too, but the respect that the students have for their professors, but then to turn around and watch the respect that the professors have for their students for doing such hard work to get to where they are.
That is beautiful.
It's pretty cool.
Well, that does sound pretty cool. I have often thought that though air inflates bagpipes, applause might inflate them even better.
It sure makes me feel better about myself.
It inflates our ego and our bagpipes.
Yes.
Is there anything about your bagpiping experience that you wish you could share with non-bagpiping friends and family? You know, like something that's like, this is so cool, I wish you could feel it.
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Well, no pressure, But
the feeling of, I thought you were going to say something like, you wish they knew that you can't turn the volume down or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a pretty good feeling to be able to play with a group of people and feel like you've really done your very best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think any musician or anybody who does like a performance of any type, whether it be drama or something like that, with a group, it's not really unique to bagpipes, but it's unique to playing with a group. I personally don't like to solo. I soloed once, and I can say that I've done it, and I will probably never do it again because I hate it. I'm much happier playing with a group, and it's just very satisfying to go in and, we may not be a grade one band or anything, but to go in and feel like you've practiced really hard, you've put in your very best, and you just, even if you don't place, just to feel like you've done really, really well, it's just a really good feeling.
Yeah, I agree. You wrote a really beautiful harmony for oh, I almost said Mull of Kintyre. That's not right.
No, was
Oh,
it? I
I
don't
feel
even
I can
remember.
almost. It's the sad person in the tower. Johnny, they've taken you away. Not Johnny, they've taken you away. Da,
I don't
da,
know. Was it
da,
Hector
da,
the
da,
hero?
da, da, da. Here.
Oh, oh shoot. No, I don't remember what it's called either, but I know what song you're talking about.
What is it? It's
Oh my
it's
gosh.
it's.
And anybody that's listening to this is probably screaming at us to say what it is.
Oh
What's it
man.
called?
Well,
I don't remember.
you wrote a beautiful harmony. I was just
Yes,
gonna
I
ask you,
did.
do you write a lot of harmonies? Is that something you love to do?
I don't actually. When I wrote that, I was going to school to be a music major. And so,
Fields of Athenry.
yes, yes, that's it. Whew, that was scary
All
for a
right,
minute
go
there.
on. Sorry.
Anyway, I was going to school at the time. I was planning on majoring in music, and I thought, oh, I bet I could write harmonies for bagpipe stuff. And so I just kind of dabbled in it for a little bit. And that one turned out really well, and I really haven't done much since. I
Y-
think I think
But
that summer I wrote like three or four different harmonies, or maybe over the course of a couple of years I wrote a couple harmonies, but I just haven't done any since.
do you recall, was your process usually just to kind of like hit a recording and play around with it on the chanter, or were you more of a sit down and write it out kind of situation? With like some music theory in mind, that kind of stuff.
That's actually what I did. I sat down and I remembered the rules and the things that I had learned in my music theory class, and I went through and I just kind of wrote it in on top of the actual sheet music for Fields of Athenry, and then played through it. And I had to have somebody else come over and play through it with me so I could hear how it sounded with somebody else. And I got to tell you, again, with the practice chanter, it
Right.
just sounded like poo.
You
But
can't really know, huh?
exactly. So, but I mean, it nailed it down enough that we could decide what sounded good and what didn't. And then the next time we had practice, we sat down and, well, not sat down, but we got our pipes out and we played through it and tweaked a little bit more and just got it to where it sounded pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've had the experience before. I once put together a trio arrangement of a Christmas song,
Hmm.
and I got two buddies to come and play it with me. I was like, "Hey, check this out!" Like, I knew it worked because I'd used it on some bagpipe writing software, and I was like, "Oh, this
Uh-huh.
this is really tight. This is great." They came over to play it with me. I gave them the music. They played through it, and as soon as they started playing, I was like, "Oh, this is not going to go well,"
Yeah.
because our is three completely different, sets for tuning, and not only that, like on any individual chanter, the notes were out of tune from each other. Like,
Uh-huh.
and so then it gets over, and they're like, "That didn't sound good at all," and just walked away. Like, we're never doing that. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time I didn't have any bagpipe writing software. And so it was just pencil, paper. But I mean, I, I don't know. I don't have the ability to just think of something and play it. I have to I have to play around with it. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of times when you're writing music, it sounds good in your head or what you're imagining, but you've got to play around with it
For
once
sure.
once you're done writing it, because that's where you're going to hear how it's actually going to sound, not just what you think it's going to sound like.
Yeah. What other are there other instruments that you've delved into, either as part of your your education, or when you were a kid, or even lately?
I play the piano. I've played the piano since I was about 10.
You also teach piano, right?
Yes, I teach piano as well. I've got piano lessons today, actually. That's why we're here early. Um, Piano, bagpipes. I sing. I mean, that's an instrument, I guess.
It is. Absolutely, it is.
And then I tried to learn how to play the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and that lasted about a summer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then for my education classes, we had to take a music class for elementary education, and we had to learn how to play the recorder, and that screwed up my brain a bunch because they were like, "This is how you play a C," and I'm like, "No,
Yeah, no,
that's
it's not
what a C looks like." So that was almost painful, but that's really about it. Mostly just bagpipes and piano.
One of Zach's big ideas was that we needed to replace recorders in all elementary schools with practice chanters.
I would feel good about that.
You're
I
in
really
favor,
would.
huh?
Yes. When the kids get into fourth grade, they go to their music class, and that's where they learn to play the recorders. And I got to tell you, those recorders, they get back to class, and I tell them, if you play that recorder in my class, I will take it away, and you don't get it back because, I hate the sound of recorders.
So it's not like we'd be lowering any sort of experiential thing for children by replacing them with practice chanters.
Exactly.
It'd be just like sort of a low buzz instead of a high whistle.
Yes, that's
Still
exactly
chaos.
right.
Still chaos, of course, but
Well, yeah.
a different kind of chaos. Do you feel like you have we all get requested like Amazing Grace, Scotland the Brave, sort of those standards. But do you have a favorite sort of go-to performance piece, when you're going to whip out your pipes and, your aunt is sitting there and she's like, play me something. What would you go to?
This is kind of embarrassing to admit, but I go with common marches.
Nothing wrong with that. It's great.
Remember earlier I said I don't like to solo, and I do play that graduation solo, but I get very nervous. Like, even with playing the piano, I don't solo piano. I accompany people, or I solo in my own house. That's it. Like, I don't love playing in front of people. It makes me very, very nervous if I have to play by myself. And so those common marches are the things that I know the best, and I don't have to think as hard, and I can just kind of go into the zone. Even songs that I've played for years as part of the band's competition set or anything like that, as soon as I'm trying to solo it in front of somebody, I'll blank, I'll skip lines, I'll play wrong notes. It's kind of pathetic.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think anybody needs to be embarrassed about playing common marches. I've had the experience. I watch a lot of I've watched a lot of Pink Floyd concerts. Mm-hmm. I've never been able to go. I've gone to like Australian Floyd concerts, the cover band. And I was really lucky. A couple of years ago, my dad and I and my sister, we all went to the Hollywood Bowl to see David Gilmour when he released "Rattle That Lock." Oh my goodness,
very cool.
That was a religious experience if I ever had one. But it occurs to me that as of a few decades ago, any member of Pink Floyd playing any show or cover band, they have to do Comfortably Numb.
Yes.
Right. No matter what else they do, which I, as a fan, I want that. If I go, if I go to even like a laser show and they don't do Comfortably Numb, I walk away feeling like I've been gypped.
Yeah.
And at the Hollywood Bowl, like I was sitting there, I'm looking at David Gilmour and thinking, this man must be so sick of playing Comfortably Numb, and yet he does it, and it's like all of a sudden I felt like he only does it because he loves us, he's doing this for us.
Yeah.
And I
guess I never thought of it that way.
Well, I feel like that's kind of how common marches are, there's a reason that they're ubiquitous. It's what people want to hear. And so if they want Scotland the Brave and Amazing Grace again,
I'll play it for them.
Yeah, that's right. It's not for you, the piper. It's for the listener. That's my soapbox. I'll get off of it now.
No, I never thought of it that way. That makes a lot of sense, and I feel a lot better about myself.
Yeah, don't feel embarrassed about it. Absolutely. Do you know any terrible, still, child appropriate bagpiping jokes that you would like to share? In fact, I'm not going to give you the out. You have to share one. So pick one.
I have to share one?
You have to share one.
Jeez.
And if it's
James,
one
I
that's
don't
been
know.
if it's one that's been shared on the show before, it's even better because this is like the audio form of those Facebook memes that all bagpipers get tagged in over and over and over again.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Now I've driven them all out of your mind.
You have.
Well, that's
The other morning I listened to Heidi's and Diana's, and both times I was like, when it's my turn, I've got a good joke. No, I don't got it anymore.
well. Hey, I'm gonna
It's
ask you
gone.
some more questions. So if you think of it later, that's fine.
Okay.
How do you feel about drummers? You're a piper. How do you feel about drummers?
I love drummers.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say we don't even need them.
No, we definitely
I'm
need
just
them.
joking. Of course we do.
No, I really, I really do like our drummers. I like drummers in general. Um, I lived with Heidi for a while, and she would tap a lot, and that part got annoying. But I mean, she had to listen to me play on occasion,
Yeah,
so
she had
it's understandable.
she had to deal with your practice chanter, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, the tap, tap, tap is kind of obnoxious when you're trying to have a conversation, but no, I totally respect what they can do. I remember one of the competitions that we went to um, for closing mass bands. I convinced somebody, I don't even remember who it was now, to play, or rather hold my bagpipes, and I was going to play their bass drum. And oh my gosh.
Now to go.
I don't know how bass drummers can do it because I couldn't see where I was going. I felt like I did a pretty good job to keep the beat, but I'm sure there were no dynamics or anything at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was fun to, hit the drum. I can see why it's a fun thing to do, but yeah, definitely have a lot of respect. There's no possible way I could flourish. I'd bean myself in the head, I'm sure. And I did try my hand at percussion for a little while in high school.
Yeah, what were you playing?
And so all of my friends were in band in high school. And so I joined band just so I could go on band tour with them. And I was like, well, I've got a background in piano, so I know how to count. So I'll give percussion a try. I did great at all the keyboard instruments. Those were my favorite. They handed me a pair of sticks and they said, "Here you go. We want you to play the snare part on this song." And I was like, I don't feel good. I think probably I better go home now. You guys
Yeah.
can do that one. So I don't know that I ever would label myself as a true percussionist, but what they do is hard. It's hard stuff.
Yeah, I started trying to learn snare somewhat recently, and it's I was like, yeah, I'll get this down over the summer. Nope,
Nope.
it's hard.
It is.
And now it's just added to the list of things I do to annoy my wife because before, like when I'd hold her hand, I would play bagpipe songs on it. You kind of do that mindlessly on steering wheels and stuff like that. And she got used to that. After 10 years, she's either used to it or going to leave me. But now I every time I have like a pencil or something, I'm tapping on stuff. And she's like, "Is this a new thing? Are you going to do this forever?"
I remember I had a student one of the years that I was living with Heidi, who would tap his pencil all the time. And I was like, okay, you have got to stop because I already hear it at home. Make it stop. Make it stop.
And that kid grew up to be a world famous drummer.
Probably so.
So, if money were no object, what bagpiping related thing or experience would you have?
Does it have to be me playing bagpipes?
No, it could be instruments, uniforms, you traveling, just something for you that kind of is even loosely tied to this world of bagpiping.
If money was no object, I would love to go to Scotland to experience the World Pipe Band Championships in person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be awesome. I love watching it, and I think it's really, and I've had the opportunity to travel to Scotland, but we were with a tour group, so it wasn't a lot of do your own thing. And we were there like 3 days after Worlds, and
Oh man.
like we drove past and they were still taking down tents and things, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I spent this much money to get here, I wish I could have been here just a few days earlier to see that. I think it would just be very cool.
Yeah. What's your current instrument setup? What kind of pipes? Do you remember what kind of drone reeds you have in there? Because personally, I don't remember what kind of drone reeds I have. So no pressure, but in general, what's your setup?
I honestly don't even remember. Oh my gosh.
You got those bagpipes. You got the 3 drones, right?
Yeah, I've got three drones.
Okay. Well, that's
So I've
something.
got that. I've got a chanter.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a blowpipe,
Mm-hmm. There's the bag
and
there in the
I'm
middle. You
pretty
got
sure I've got a bag on there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you play a hide bag, a synthetic, yeah, like a
The
zipper?
synthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you start on leather and then go to synthetic and say I'm never going back?
Um, I just when I started, it was just whatever was the thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started on a set of packy pipes
Oh yeah, I
because
heard
that's
about
all
those. Who was it?
because that's all we could afford.
Yeah.
And
Man, you're one of the survivors. You made it through.
and my mom and dad's thought on it was, let's buy these, see if you want to stick with it, and if you do, then we can upgrade. So I don't think I got a non-packy set of pipes until I was in high school. I think it might have even been a graduation present, maybe. I think.
Man, you went through a gauntlet then. I mean, it's it's a fairly common thing that parents will get a set of cheap pipes like that for their kid, precisely with that in mind. Let's see how you do with
Hmm.
these, and then we'll get you nice ones. Not realizing, I think, that that's really setting up a hurdle to be overcome. It's like if the kid can survive this, and still get any joy out of trying to play music on this unwieldy item, then they'll have earned a decent instrument. And a
Dawn
lot of,
helped
I
me a
think,
lot with those
oh,
packy
kind of helped you fix
pipes.
them up,
Yeah,
made them playable.
yeah.
I see. Yeah. Well, everybody needs a Don Smith in their life to help with stuff like that.
It's true.
So you already talked to me about pineapple. Got? Do you have a favorite piper or bagpipe band to listen to? Just recreationally for fun.
Um, it really just depends. A lot of times I will listen to the worlds and I'll hear like a particular set or something that I like, and then I'll find myself listening to that particular band a lot. And then the next year I'll hear somebody different and I'll follow that band for a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um, I really like Field Marshal Montgomery. Um, who was the one that I listened to a few years ago? I
I,
can't even think of their names,
it
but they
might
had a
come.
really,
It,
really cool set.
it might come to mind here in a sec while you're letting your brain work on it. Do you feel like when you're listening to worlds and you find sets you really like, are they usually the winning set, or do you often find that you really enjoyed some of the other sets that don't get a trophy?
It's usually both.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some songs. I mean, I remember a few years ago watching it from my house and texting Zach a couple times and saying, "Hey, what was that song that this band just played? I really like that song." I like to pick apart their set and listen to the different songs and sometimes try and learn some of those songs cuz I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the whole I working on the harmony for Fields of Athenry, but I really like slow airs. I like listening to the harmonies that they put with
Mm,
them.
yeah.
And even when they put harmonies with the faster songs, I don't know, there's just something about those harmonies.
Yeah,
But
I find them exciting as well. And I'd bet
yeah.
Zach knew what song it was in every case.
Hmm.
Yeah, he had a decent what would you call it, a database of
Oh yeah.
tunes and tune names
I
in his
think
in his
every
brain.
time I texted him to ask what the song was, he knew exactly what it was. I want to say the other band that I was into for a while was Inverary in District.
That makes sense. They're a big deal. They had some good
So
stuff.
I like listening to those grade one bands and listening to what they can do.
Yeah, it's fun for me that my wife, she's told me before that, like, when we first, my wife and I have known each other since we were like 13 or 14 years old. And
Hmm.
so really that's when I started playing, that's when I started learning. So she's never known me to not play bagpipes, but she's told me before that, usually bagpipes were just bagpipes.
Uh huh.
But in more recent years, she's just heard enough that when I'm watching the worlds, she can tell when it's like, oh, hey, that was really good,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. Joe will listen to things or he'll hear things on Facebook or whatever, and he'll tag me in them, or he'll wait till I get home. Hey, I heard this really cool thing. Listen to this. And he's getting pretty good at it too.
Yeah. Well, at first, was it kind of like, yeah, cool, Joe. That's nice.
Yay, Star Wars.
Right. Yeah.
He does still like to hear Star Wars on the bagpipes. He thinks that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with some of those novelty songs. I want to go to one of those at Comic-Con, or rather FanX. Let's not get sued at FanX in Salt Lake. They do like those different meetups, throughout.
Yeah.
And there's like a Stormtrooper meetup. One of these days, I'm going to show up to that. Yep, and I'm going to see if I can get the whole platoon to follow me.
That would be awesome. I'd be standing there right there watching.
Okay, well, I might need your help as a camera person to capture the moment. So I'll let you know when I'm planning to do it.
I'll be your camera person.
So to put a button in this interview, Susan, do you have a pre-performance ritual?
I have to go to the bathroom.
That's really that's really smart, and also
that's
not
TMI,
unique.
I'm sure.
No, I've heard that before in other interviews. That's absolutely common. So that's a really good one.
I have to make sure that I've at least eaten something before, even if it's at a weird time that's not like a meal time, because I think it must be a nerves type thing. But I mean, I'm not a huge fruit and vegetable fan, but I remember before going into competition one year, and I was super shaky, and I had to go get an apple and eat an apple before I competed because I was just super shaky. So just, typical human things. Just use the restroom, eat something.
Breathe some air.
Yeah, breathing's always a good thing. I always have to double check to make sure I didn't forget anything on my uniform. Because I kind of forget stuff. But that's really about it.
Well, cool.
I'm not very, very exciting.
have you ever had any like terrible performance experiences that you went like, oh, I'm never gonna let this happen again?
I want to say I had a new read or something like that, but I couldn't play, so I just fingered the whole time. And it was incredibly frustrating to not be able to play when I had like I must have broken it or something, because I had a really sweet read and I was able to play for a long time, and like I said, it must have broken or something.
Yeah,
and
you were in the zone.
Just threw a new read in my chanter and went out there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks.
Yeah.
I do know what I'm doing. This is so embarrassing.
I'm in that situation right now. I just started a new read yesterday, and it's always like, man,
yuck.
I remember there is a sweet spot. I'll get there again.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have any sage words of advice that you want to share with the both listeners?
Well,
I mean, I'm listening.
That's true. You are. Never give up. Never surrender. There you go.
Beautiful.